Namami Shankaracharya Gurupada Saroruham Yasya Prasadan Modhopi Sarvajyoho Sadabhavam Kamakshi Karunarupam Kamakoti Jagadgurum Chinmurting Kalajay Chitte Shankarachartam Abhyagam Bhaktagri Girisambhuta Shankararnava Gamini Punatu Bhuvanam Punya Shri Gurosh Charitavaga Veda Vedanta Samrajya Dharma Kamartha Mokshatam Vidyaranyan Numaf Punyin Jo Vidyaranyam Adhinatu Sadashiva Shri Brahmendra Dhrita Swapada Padukan Dhiran Parashubhendraryan Dhyayami Sataton Hridi Deve Dehe Cha Deshe Cha Bhaktyarogya Sukhapradam Buddha Pamara Sevyantam Shri Jayendran Namamyaham Namah Shankaran Vakya Jayendra Saraswati Shri Gurum Shishtamarganu Netaram Sannati Patam Satya Narayana Kshetrat Satyavratam Upagatam Ashraya Kamakotisham Satya Shri Chandrasekharam Sadashiva Samarambhavam Shankaracharya Madhyavam Asmadacharya Parjantam Ande Guru Parampara. Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda Acharya's 2500th Aradhana was conducted last year. And after that, our Shri Kansi Kamakoti Maulavana Sarvagya Peethadhivati Jagadguru Shri Shankara Vijayam Saraswati Shankaracharya Swami came to Rameshwaram and performed Abhisheka to Ramanatha Swami by his own hands and thereby completed his Tirtha Yatra. And starting from that auspicious occasion, with the prarthana of doing Anusandhana of the original Shankara Vijaya text, we have commenced upon this prayatna. And currently we are examining the Anandagiriya Shankara Vijayam in the 42nd part. And this is a text composed by one Anantanandagiri, a direct disciple of Shri Bhagavatpāda Acharya. And in this text, the author narrates how Bhagavatpāda expounded the Advaita Tattva, and not only that, but also he corrected, which is a better word than defeated, actually more appropriate. He corrected the various matas prevalent in those days, because a lot of them, they were either claiming some aspects of them as being in the Vedas, whereas those aspects were not really in the Vedas. And they were also including some aspects which are actually against the Vedas and the traditions. So Bhagavatpāda corrected all those matas, and finally he, through his shishyas, he did prachara or he caused prachara to be done of the Vaidika upasanas. So what are of the Shanmatas? So in this context, we have to examine what are the Shanmatas. So there is another text which we have mentioned earlier, the Markandeya Samhita, which is also a very ancient text and which gives the charitra of Bhagavatpāda Acharya. And in that text, it is very clearly said, Adityam Jagadambikam Harim Ibhendrasyam Mahesham Guham Pujayi Paripurna Manasataya Mene Yati Shankaraha. So here, the first 5 matas, there is no debate about. So those matas are the matas of whom the prachara Bhagavatpāda caused to be done in the previous prakarnas. That is the Shaiva mata, the Upasana of Shiva, the Ratna Trayam, as described by Srimad Appaya Dikshita, that is Shiva, Ambika and Mahavishnu. And after that, Ganapati and Surya. So these are the Panchayatana Devatas. They are not really separate Devatas, but are different forms of the single Eka Paramatma Devata. So those are the Panchayatana Devatas, and they are mentioned here also in the shloka of the Markandeya Samhita. And as the 6th Devata, Guham, Subramanya Bhagavan, is clearly mentioned. So it is even appropriate that because he is Shanmukha, 6 faces, so he is the 6th Devata mentioned here. And it is very beautifully said that Pujayi Paripurna Manasataya, with full appreciation, mind, Bhagavatpāda opined that these are the 6 forms of Bhagavan that are to be regularly worshipped. Shishyabhyascha dadau muda. He taught his shishyas also likewise. Vidya Vaidika Marga Darshana Guruhu Shri Shanmata Sthapakaha. So the Bhagavatpāda, we call him as Vishadikrata Veda Vedanta Marga Shanmata Pratishtapaka Acharyanam in his Birudavali, which is the Birudavali of the Kansi Kamakoti Peetham, which he established. That he cleared Vishadikrata Veda Vedanta Marga, both the Vedanta Tattva as well as the Vaidika Upasana Marga. He clarified, he removed all the doshas, blemishes which were there, and he also caused the Shanmatas to be established. So in this shloka, it is evident that Birudavali, that particular phrase in the Birudavali is reflecting the concept which is given in the Markandeya Samhita. So, Bhagavatpāda, as a Shanmata Sthapaka, these are the 6 devatas that he did upasana of, and he taught the upasana of. And it is also correct to say that he did the upasana of this because, especially as the 6th devata, Subramanya Upasana, Bhagavatpāda, in the 11th prakarana of this text earlier, it was very clearly said that Snatva Kumaradharayam Nadyam Shishya Samanvitaha Bhaktya Sampujayamasa Shanmukham Shesharupinam. So, how Bhagavatpāda visited Kuke Subramanyam, and he did snana in the Kumaradhara Nadi, and along with his Shishyas, he went and did Upasana of the Subramanya Swami, who is there in the form of a Sarpa. So, it is evident that Bhagavatpāda himself did Subramanya Upasana in this way. So, there is no doubt that Bhagavatpāda, and of course we know how Bhagavatpāda came to Tiruchendur in Tamil Nadu and sang the Subramanya Bhujangam. So, there is no doubt that the 6th mata is Kaumara mata, the Subramanya Upasana. But here, in this particular Anandagiriya Shankara Vijaya, we are duty bound to say what is there in the text, only. So here it is said that the 6th mata is something that is different, and it is quite interesting, in fact, and it brings out a particular anugraha drishti of Bhagavatpāda, because the 6th mata is Kapalika mata. So now we will start upon the 72nd prakarana. Evam upasana yogya panchamateshu sthapiteshu kapaliko vatukunatha iti prasiddha samagatya paramagurum bahudhanatva vinayat kritanjali damaha. So after the prachara of the 5 matas as described earlier was completed, the Kapalika by name Vatukunatha, he came and to the Acharya, Jagadacharya, and he did namaskara to the Acharya, and composing the Anjali, he speaks to the Bhagavatpāda. So in this context, we should also recall that much earlier in the 23rd prakarana and the 24th prakarana, nominally, we'll explain that Bhagavatpāda has already spoken with Kapalikas, and in the Nagara of Ujjaini, it is described how a group of Kapalikas came, and they described how they were doing Bhairava Upasana. And the Pradhana Kapalika who was there, he was actually a good Upasaka insofar as he was following his mata properly. He was doing Upasana of Bhagavan Samhara Bhairava, and he got angry that Bhagavatpāda refuted his mata. So he says, I will bring Samhara Bhairava to teach you a lesson. So through his mantra Shakti, he calls Samhara Bhairava, and Bhagavan Bhairava was actually manifest there. But then, when Bhagavatpāda immediately he does Anjali to Samhara Bhairava, and you tell your Upasaka what is the correct way. And then to the severe surprise of this Upasaka, Bhairava Bhagavan says that Shankarastvam Sada Pujyaha Sarva Veda Artha Parabhag. So you have come to teach these people what is the correct meaning of the Vedas. Bhavat kritam hi yat karma maya picha kritam hitata. Whatever you do, that is something that is equivalent to my doing it. So you teach these people. That is what Samhara Bhairava says, and he says that I have come babhuva mantrabadhoham pratyakshosmi na dharmataha. I have not come here because what he is doing is correct. I have in the sense that what the mata he is teaching is 100% Veda Sammata. I have come here because of the upasana that he has done. But you should teach him the proper way. So this is what happened in the 23rd prakarana. And then those people, those upasakas, they became shishyas of Bhagavatpāda. But the next prakarana, the 24th prakarana, it is actually, he is a false Kapalika. He is not even an upasaka. See, if somebody worships some form of Godhead, or at least even if he does not accept God, if he has some principles, you can talk to him. But the fellow who came there in the 24th prakarana, he is totally devoid of achara, of good habits, and he says that he claims to be a Kapalika Upasaka, but he is not a real Upasaka at all. So Bhagavatpāda sends him on his way. Bhagavatpāda thinks that there is no point in, see, if he has some yogyata, then we can bring him out. But this fellow is totally devoid of yogyata. So that in the 24th Prarana, the one who claimed to be a Kapalika, Bhagavatpāda sent him on his way. But he did anugraha to the actual Kapalikas who were doing upasana of that Bhagavan. So one such Kapalika, here he comes and he talks to, he did namaskara to Bhagavan, Bhagavatpāda, and he requests, Swamin, manmatena sakam ashesha matabhedam kritva. So you have refuted all those matas along with the Kapalika mata which I am following. Suddha Advaita Vrittim Himapat Setu Madhya Bhuvisho Aporya Sarvan Advaita Darasana Paran Kritva. So you have taught from Setu up to Himachala, you have taught this Advaita Darasana to everybody, and you have made everybody established in the Advaita Darasana. Bhartya Lokesmin Shuddha Advaita Vritya Shrita Shaivadi Panchamatastha Barosi. So now in this human world you have caused the Pancha Matas to be taught, the Pancha Upasanas which are mentioned earlier, Shaiva, Vaishnava, etc., which are based on Advaita. And now he requests, Manmatasya Kanchira Vakasam Chintaya, Sarvamata Guru Varyastvam. So as you are, we consider you to be a guru of all the matas, so you please think of some scope for my mata also. And he does namaskara once more. Dantavad Pranamya Kritanjali Putam Matukanatham Alokya Paramaguru Bhagavani Damaha. So Bhagavatpāda is a Karunamurti, and he says he thinks that there is a scope for these matas also. Both Shishya, Veda Siddhana Mesham. So those who, for whatever reason, they are not qualified to enter into the Vedika Upasanas, let them follow some kind of Upasana that which is within the general tenets of Dharma, the Samanya Dharmas, Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Shaucham, Indriya Nigraha, some proper good practices and such things. So that is necessary. There are people who are not able to follow the full Vedika Dharma. So let them at least follow this. So that is what Bhagavatpāda says. You go and do prachar of your mata for those people. If Tupadishta Sato Shishyo Vatagonatha Tatha Karomi Iti Punarapi Loka Guru Padara Vinda Yugalam Natva. So I will do that. He accepts and he does samaskara to the lotus feet of the Gurunatha. And Kanchi Nagarat Pragadi Dingmargam Apalabhya. Again, he starts towards east from Kanchipuram and say to Himachala Madhyava Bhuvishu Tatra Kamshit Bhairava Mata Pravartakan Kritva. So from starting eastwards from Kanchipuram, he goes and in all over the Bharat. Because he does not want to infringe upon whoever have already taken up the Vedika Matas. So it is very specifically mentioned Kamshit Bhairava Mata Pravartakan Kritva. So he created people, inspired people to do prachara of this Bhairava Upasana for those who are not able to enter into the Vedika Upasanas. Puna Shighram Agatya. So again, he also came back and Rahasi Yati Dharma Shritam Paramagurunatva. So he comes back and does namaskara to the Acharya and he says, Oh Swamin, Bhavat Kripaya, Kapalingamatam Maya, Keshuchit Bhakteshu, Pratidesham Vidrambitam. So by your Kripa, I have caused the Kapalika Mata to be taught to some devotees in each region. Iti Vigyapya. So he is very clear about his limitation. And iti Vigyapya Mukhya Shishya Panchayati Samipe Tadasaiva Samavartada. So with much humility, he stayed with the other Shishyas who were the Pracharakas of the Pancha Matas mentioned earlier. So thus ends the Iti Anandagiri Kritau Prakaranam Dusaptatikam. Thus ends the 72nd Prakarana. And now in the 73rd Prakarana, there is a Guru Stuti. So there is already in the 14th Prakarana, there was a very beautiful Guru Bhajana, which was described there. And likewise, in the second half of this Prakarana, there is one more. But first, we have some beautiful verses through which the Shishyas of Bhagavatpāda praise him. Tadanim Sarve Shishyaha Guru Stutimevan Chakrahu. So after all this Mata Nirakarana and Mata Sthapana, everything has been completed. Tavat Padmapada Evam Abravid. The Shishyas praise their Guru. And first Padmapada, who was one of the earliest Shishyas of Bhagavatpāda, he says, Advaitar is a beautiful, very beautiful shloka. Advaitar Nava Purvadik Bhava Vidhum. So Bhagavatpāda is like the full moon who rises in the east and of the ocean of Advaita. He causes, just like the full moon causes the ocean to swell, he causes the Advaita Darshana to swell, to overflow Vidyapradam Praninam. He is not just Vidyaprada for Manushya, he is capable of giving Vidya to even animals. Svidyad Bhagavataranam, from his mouth we get drips nectar. His speech is like nectar. Kritadhyam Sandeha Shankapaham. So those who are interested in accumulating Vidya, Bhagavatpada's Anugraha causes their doubts and their hesitations to go away. Vidyat Vairi Janokti Panktim. So whatever the people who are against the Vedika Vidya, whatever they were saying, each sentence of their incorrect matas were refuted by Bhagavatpada. Akhila Akalpokti Sangha Udgalan Madhurya Amrita Panatriptam. A very unique, special, beautiful description. Bhagavatpada is said to be Amrita Panatriptam. But what is the Amrita Pana that Bhagavatpada did? Bhagavatpada did. Whether he did Amritapana, he caused his Shishyas to do Amritapana, and he was pleased with it. What kind of Amritam? Akhila Akalpa Ukti. So very beautiful words. The group of the beautiful words that he had uttered. Udgalan Madhurya. So through those, the group of those words, the beauty, the sweetness of his speech comes out. So his speech is like nectar, and such speech, such nectar he has caused his Shishyas to drink, and through that he is satisfied. Tarisham Panatriptam Anisham Naumi Prasiddham Gurum. So because the Kirti of Bhagavatpada has spread by this time all over, so he calls him Prasiddham Gurum. I prostrate to that Bhagavatpada. Yat Pada Pankajadhyanat Lakshmanadya Mateshwaraha Babhuhu Tadrisham Mande Shankaram Sharmateshwaram. So he refers, this is a verse which is used in Bhagavatpada Puja Paddhati also, and he refers to the yatis who did the Panchamata Prachara, yet through meditating upon whose lotus feet these Lakshmana who went for the Vaishnava Mata and the others have become the Adhipatis of the respective Matas. I bow to that Shanmata Sthapakacharya Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda. Shri Shankaracharya Kalpataruhu. Bhagavatpada is like a Kalpa Vriksha. Shuddha Advaita Mulaha. His root is pure Advaitam. Shanmata Shakhaha, the trunks, the various major branches coming out of that, the trunk of the tree are the Shanmatas. Jnana Phalaha, the fruit that is obtained from this tree is Jnanam Santatam Loke Virajati. So this tree is shining in the world continuously. So that is why it is said, Shambhor Mortish Charati Bhuvane Shankaracharya Rupa. The same Bhagavatpada shines in the form of his Shishyas also. And Tataha Paramata Kalanaladayaha Yatayaha Idamuchuhu. So those Pancha Mata Pracharakas, the other sannyasis, they Paramata Kalanala who went for the Shaivamata and others, they praise Bhagavatpada. Yakarta Dvaita Vidyayaha Brahmaivedam iti sthitehe. So he who did the Advaita Vidya, where one realizes that I and this entire world is nothing other than the Brahmavastu. Asid Guruhu Sayeva Adyahi Asmakam Dvaitavadinam. So whoever was that Bhagavatpada who did the prachara of the Dvaita Vidya, he is the same Bhagavatpada is our Guru, even though we are Dvaitavadis. Dvaitavadis in the sense what? The Upasana, which entails a difference between the Upasaka, the person who is doing the Upasana, and the Upasya, the form of Bhagavan which is being worshipped. So they are also Dvaitis, but that Dvaita is necessary. That is a good Dvaita, that is necessary. So that for us also, the same Bhagavatpada, the Advaitavadi Bhagavatpada is the Guru. Tat Katakshena Mayamapi Umeshadi Matanihi Viratya Lokarakshartham Abhavama Kritaspadaha. Through the Kripa Drishti of the glance, the sidelong glance of that Bhagavatpada, we have received the Yogyata to do prachara of these Shanmatas for the protection of the world. And so we also have done something meaningful through the Kripa of our Guru only. Madartham abhati Guru Paratma. For me, Paramatma is shining in front of me in the form of the Guru. Sayevachaham vidite tu tattve. So once I realize the tattva, then I will realize that I am the same Paramatma. But now Ajnataha Tvam Guruhu Alpa Buddhi Shishyoham Etat Khalu Bheda Jatam. But so long as the Ajnana of the Vyavahara Kala it is continuing, you are the Guru and I am the Alpa Buddhi Shishya, the Shishya of limited knowledge, and this is the Bheda that is continuing. So this is something that Shri Bhagavatpāda's Paramaguru, Shri Gaudapada Acharya, he also mentions this in his Gaudapada Karika, and he says that Upadeshadayam Badaha Gyate Dvaitanna Vidyate. So as long as that Upadesha needs to be done, so you have the Shasta, the Shishya, and so on. But once that that Jnana has been realized, experienced, then there is no continuation of the Dvaita. Aja pareshasya jagad vimohini vekinamapyapahanti sambitam. So even those who are considered to be scholars in the Laukika sense, in the worldly sense, but the Maya of the Bhagavan, as Bhagavan says in the Gita, Devi Hyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. So that Maya causes them to not realize the truth. Tathapi abhedo nahi bhati siddhavad vidhi pramita subhritam videkshaya. So because of that, because of the videksha, the drishti, bheda drishti, vidhi pramita asubhritam. So those whose pranan has to stay in this particular body only up to a particular time period, because of their purva punya papa karmas, the time that they are going to spend in a particular body will be limited. Though, so such samsaris, that is who are still bound by the Janana Marana Chakra. So for them, abhedo nahi bhati, the Advaita does not shine for them. Aparamarthiko bhedopi aghaughagrasta chetasam kalpitani matan yadya tattarana kripavashat. So even though that difference, the bheda, is not true, it's not paramarthika, but it appears for those who have accumulated sins in so many births, and because of that their mind has been is been fettered by that those papas. So they look at this bheda, and for them tat karana kripavasha, to give them also a way that they might come out of their ajnana kalpitani matani. So these matas, these upasana paddhatis, Shaiva, Vaishnava, etc., have been taught for them. Tadabhave andhamargena charantyede ete visamvidaha. So see, they are not qualified to attain the Advaita Jnana, and they have no other proper upasana paddhati, then they will fall into andhamarga, some blind form of some path they will start following. So, hey Guru bhavatkataakshena margadasyuh punah punah. So, by your kripa, may all those people also come to a proper path. Sarvagya Ushpad Guna Sanghamadya Sheshopi Nalam Khalu Varnaraya. Oh omniscient one, you are the entire gamut of your qualities, great qualities. Even Adishesha, who has 1,000 heads and 1,000 or 2,000 tongues, he is not capable of describing. Kim Yushmadangri Abja Nishevanapta Jnanaha Tatha Tvatkripaya Attaveshaha. But by the worship of your lotus feet, we have received some jnana, and by your kripa we have taken up this sannyasa ashrama. Guru gariyasi kirtihi tavaloke bhavet sada. So that, like Jnana Sambandhar says, Jnalam ninpugade miga bendum. The fame of Bhagavan has to spread everywhere, and your Guru, your fame should spread everywhere always. Shanmatacharya Guru Riti Asmabhi Shirasadhrita. So wherever we have gone and done prachara of these matas, we have told everybody that you are our Guru, because we might be Shanmatacharyas, but you are our Guru. So you are the Shanmatacharya Guru. So Shri, and the next verse is a very beautiful and very unique verse. It may be considered, even to the extent we can call it a mantra, because in Bhagavatpāda's stotra, Shatpadi stotra about Mahavishnu, there is the final verses like this: Narayana Karunamaya Sharanam Karavani Thavakau Charanau Iti Shatpadi Madiye Vadana Saroje Sadavasato. O Narayana, may I take refuge in your 2 feet. That first sentence, it has 6 words in Sanskritam. And iti shatpadi, these 6 words, May these 6 words always live in the lotus of my in my lotus mouth. So if my mouth is described as a lotus, then Shatpadi means a Brahmara. So may that Brahmara stay in this lotus, because Brahmara always resides in a lotus. So because of that, because of uttering this Bhagavat Prarthana, my mouth has such a qualification. That is one meaning. And another meaning is that it refers to the entire stotra, which has 6 verses. So that may this entire stotra always be in my mouth. So likewise, this particular verse also can be interpreted in 2 ways by Patha Bheda. So that first line, again here, that is the similarity. That first line is a prarthana or a mantra. It's a sparanam of Bhagavatpāda mantra, which is remembering us Bhagavatpāda. Shri Shankaracharya Gurum Paratparam Bhajamahe Santatam Ishta Siddhidam. These are the words. So the Shankaracharya, who is beyond the greatest, who is none other than Shiva, who is of that form, we worship him always. Here the Bhagavatpāda, who grants the dharmika desires of his upasakas. Itirayantah pranipatya sadaram tadatmigaschuhu vigatad vidha bhajaha. So this is one partha, and tadatmigaste vigatad vidha bhajaha. So first we can say that by uttering these words and doing namaskara to the Guru with bhakti, these earlier mentioned Shanmatacharyas and other Shishyas, they have attained that Tadatmya Mukti. They have merged with the Supreme through this Guru Bhakti. Tadatmyagas te vigatad dvidha bhayaha. So they were devoid of all the fears that arise in this Dvaita Prapancha. So this is one meaning. And the other, by taking the other partha also, we can get a very beautiful meaning. Tadatmyagashuhu. Whoever utters these words, that is how the Veda also says, iti deva kurvata ityuvai manushya kurvate. So those Mahatmas, they did upasana of Bhagavan in this particular way. So if you also do the same, you will also attain the same fruit. That is the way of the Veda. So likewise it is said, whoever keeps chanting these words and does namaskara to Bhagavatpāda with devotion, they will all attain that Sayujya Mukti and be devoid of all the bhayas that come in this samsara. Tatanye Bhanu Marichyadeyaha Paramagurum Acharya Swamiram Natva Idamuchuhu. All further, apart from the Shanmatacharyas, and there are other Shishyas like Bhanu Marichi and so on, they also do namaskara to Bhagavatpāda and say, Jiveshayor Bhidamitya hi Advaitam Satyamuttamam. The difference between the Jiva and Ishvara, that difference is only an appearance. It is not true. Advaitam Satyamuttamam. Advaita is the only true, the Paramarthika Satya, the actual real truth. Tad Darshana Guruhu, Loka Guruhu, who Gurava Pare. So that Acharya, Sri Shankaracharya, who teaches this Darshana is the actual proper Guru. Ato Loka Gurun Tvantu Shuddha Advaitam Paratparam. So you are the Jagat Guru and you are of the nature of Shuddha Advaita and you are beyond the greatest. As mentioned earlier, you are Shiva. Namamas Satchidanandam. You are of Satchidananda Swarupa Nityam Abhyayam Ishwaram. You are the Ishvara who is never destroyed. We bow to you always. Adva Asmakan Yad Bhidajnanam Ajnanena Pravardhitam. The Bheda Drishti which has developed within us because of our Jnana. Nashanam Kuruguro Mokshato Bhava Samtatam. O Guru, may you destroy that Ajnana and always grant us moksha. Ityuktva Paramaguru Charanaravinda Yugalam Natva. So by chanting these shlokas, they do namaskara to the Gurunatha's lotus feet. Dhakka, Thala, Veena, Karaha. So they have the Damaru and the Thala and Veena and other such instruments in their hands. Kalatikrama Vinodam Evan Chakruhu. So there is a word Kalakshepa. Something that to push time. See, you can't really push time. Time passes of its own accord. But if you want to spend time in doing something meaningful without wasting time in unnecessary speech and other such things, Kalatikrama Vinoda, and thereby get some good pleasure by doing some good Bhagavat Chintana or the Chintana of Mahatma Charita or Dharma Chintana and so on. Sadguroho Shankaracharya Swaminaha Kataksha Bhikshana Leshenaiva Vayam Kritartha. So this is how they spent their time, those Shishyas, and they thought that it is only by the Kataksha Bhikshana Lesha of the Sadguru Shankaracharya Swami that Vayam Kritarthaha Nityabhuktaha Bhavamaha. We will attain that needs to be, whatever needs to be attained, and we will always attain the Shashwata Moksha. Iti Nishchikyushta. They were sure of this, the Anugraha of the Guru. So thus we will continue the remaining part of this prakarana in the next session, which is a beautiful the song as in the same format as the bhajana which was done in the earlier 14th section, and that and the next prakarana, the 74th prakarana, we will examine in an upcoming session. Sarvabhyapaka Chaitanya Rupeda Adyapi Tishtari Sayeva Shankaracharyo Gurur Mukti Pradasatam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara.